Can you see it?
Yeah.
Alright. As long as I can remember, I've seen the media covering controversial issues between law enforcement and the public. I remember at times seeing rioting, shooting, and widespread anarchy. I'm a corrections officer and have seen the sides of the public that most people don't get to see. I've seen people attack and spit at officers. I've seen people admit to their wrongdoings and try to maturely take care of their charges. Today I will be talking about the problems law enforcement faces and how to fix them. The main three problems I would like to discuss are distrust with the public, corruption, and law enforcement mental health. Public distrust causes hostilities between the public, law enforcement. Law enforcement officers are sworn to protect the public, whether it is from dangerous offenders to drugs to traffic violators. CBS News report on August 13, 2019 stated, a traffic stop in California turned to a gun battle that killed a highway patrol officer Monday night. Witnesses say a man grabbed a rifle from his pickup truck in Riverside and started shooting while the officer was filling out paperwork to impound the vehicle. Officers never know the situation that they are stepping into. The FBI did a report in 2018 showing the 55 casualties caused in police. "94% of the casualties were male, 6% were female. 83% of the casualties were Caucasian, 12% were African American, and 5% were Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islanders." This chart is the causes of the 55 fatalities in 2018 of police officers. 11 were ambushed and trapped or premeditated. 8 were performing investigations. 6 were tactical situations. 5 were interacting with wanted persons. 5 were conducting traffic stops. 4 were handcuffing, restraining, or attempting to control subjects. 4 were responding to domestic calls. 4 were responding to crimes in progress. 3 were involved with vehicular pursuits. 3 were involved with foot pursuits, and 2 were interacting with a person with a mental illness. Children are sometimes taught by their families, the media, or even music that law enforcement is bad, will take them away, or that they need to be fought. "Open fire on my adversaries, or do not even worry. Better have on a vest, aim for my chest, and then you buried. And is it a bust? I hear the sirens, run for cover, over the fence and open fire." Are lyrics for Tupac's song "Open Fire," released in 2019, motivating the public to turn against officers. The younger generations were brought up hearing lyrics like these from Tupac and feeling the need to resent law enforcement to fit in. People need to teach their children that law enforcement is there to help. Women grow up afraid to report sexual crimes. Men grow up afraid to report physical crimes. When people believe that there is no help, they will take action themselves, which usually results in crime. The public is not the sole reason for distrust. Corruption has cast a dark shadow over law enforcement for decades. Corruption is an impossible action to eliminate in any place of employment. If care is not taken when hiring law enforcement officers, bad apples get in. As stated in the Washington Post article, Florida cop planted meth on random drivers. Police say Wester, who was fired last September, was arrested Wednesday and charged with 52 counts of racketeering, false imprisonment, official misconduct, fabricating evidence, and possession of a controlled substance, among many other charges. Humans are flawed, and finding a person's flaw is hard to do if they have a good enough record. Prosecutors said that Eric Snell abused his power as a police officer by engaging in an interstate drug trafficking scheme where drugs were seized and redistributed back to the streets, as stated in the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Program article, shows that law enforcement is indeed flawed. I believe that implementing stronger policies should help improve corruption. Heavy drug testing in law enforcement should be used along with possible polygraph tests before employment. Law enforcement officers have a wide array of concerns that weigh heavily upon them, which can result in poor performance, corruption, mental disorders, and even suicide. Law enforcement are not just deputies or police, but corrections officers, deputies, investigators, narcotics and administration, etc. Law enforcement officers' stress is heightened for many reasons, such as assaults on officers, threats of retribution on officers' families, witness traumatic events, witness fatalities, and exhaustion from long shifts and overtime. Post-traumatic stress disorder, trauma-related disorders such as anxiety, stress, and depression, and substance abuse are disorders that are the most common mental health disorders that law enforcement officers experience. Law enforcement officers have options, but the options need to become more available. Medication to help with mental health disorders needs to become acceptable and not frowned upon. Therapy needs to be accessible to officers so that they can talk to someone and work out their problems. Law enforcement officers need to open up about trauma and stress that they experience in the workplace. If an officer has experienced substance abuse or alcohol abuse, they need to seek help and understand it can be helped. In conclusion, law enforcement officers face detrimental situations often, have to face public backlash, and deal with mental health issues. Supporting law enforcement helps the community and the public by lessening the tension and allowing officers to perform their duties at optimal performance. Thank you. Don't drop it.